Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So today is going to be a little different of a video for me because I am not actually going to be talking about my eyeshadow palettes for once. I absolutely love my eyeshadow palettes, but I did want to share with you all my full makeup collection. So I'm going to be going through my face products, cheek products, lip products, and then my other eye products that are not eyeshadow palettes. And I just wanted to kind of share this with you all. I don't have a ton of each of these individual products, probably still more than a person needs, but I thought it would just be fun to kind of share this with you all. So I hope you all enjoy. This probably will end up being a little bit of a longer video just because there are quite a few categories to talk about, but just settle in and I hope you all enjoy. So this is where I keep all of my makeup. I just keep this right in this little tower I got from Walmart right next to the table where I do my makeup. So up top here we just have makeup brushes, some setting spray, and some other products. I have my Mockingbird palette up here, some brushes I take to travel. This drawer is kind of all my face products, some foundation, concealers, and stuff. This is more cheek products. And I will go through each of these individually as well. This is some eye products, my lip products, and then this has a couple of different face palettes. I don't have that many, but just a few. And then this one, I just have some different backups and stuff in there. And then that bottom one doesn't have any makeup in it. So that is my little makeup tower, and I will go through each of my products individually. Alright, so up first we have primers. So I will be honest, I don't really use primers a ton. I feel like I just haven't found a good way to make them work under my foundation. But this first one here is the L'Oreal Visible Lift Luminous Serum Tint. This is in the shade Pearl. This one actually is pretty much empty. This is the only one that I have actually enjoyed really using underneath my makeup. It doesn't really do much priming exactly, but it just kind of gives a nice little glow to the skin, which I think is super pretty. Next one I want to talk about is the e.l.f. Poreless Face Primer. I have tried to use this many times, but I just feel like it doesn't look the best underneath my foundation usually. There are certain spots where I like to use this, but this definitely isn't like an all-over face primer for me. And then these last three here are from NYX. So these two were actually just little samples that I had gotten in this whole sample pack that I got from NYX. So we have the Pore Filler and then the Marshmallow Primer. Neither of those are really my favorite. And then we have the Plump Right Back Primer, which I purchased myself. And that does create a nice kind of tacky base for my primer, or for my foundation. But again, I just don't really use primers all that often. I would rather just kind of go in straight with my foundation and concealer. Alright, next up we have my foundation collection. So there are 7 here to talk about. This first one over here is the Color Science Face Shield. It's not really like a full coverage foundation. It just has some good SPF in it, and it kind of helps even out the skin tone a little bit. It's a really interesting product because it comes out white and then you have to like rub it on your hands to warm it up and get it to be the color for your skin and then apply it. So this isn't something I use every day. My mom gave this to me, so I've used it a few times, but it's more for when I don't really want a ton of makeup on. I just kind of want some nice foundation or some nice SPF on my skin. Next we have the Revlon Candid Foundation. This is the shade 200 Nude. I really like this stuff. I was using it for quite a while. You can see how just flat it is. I have used quite a bit of this. I think this is a really nice foundation. I will say I am not very well versed on foundations, so what I might like might not be something you like, but I thought this one was pretty nice. I am not someone who loves a full coverage foundation, but this did provide some really nice coverage. I feel like it's kind of medium coverage. So I really do enjoy this, and I think it applied pretty well. Next, we have the Neutrogena Radiant Tinted Moisturizer. I absolutely love this stuff. This is what I use on a daily basis. I am almost out of it, I think. This is going in my Harry Potter project pan, and I'm trying to finish it. But I know when I do, I'm gonna want another one. But I have not been able to find my shade in this when I go to the store. They only ever have like one darker shade in this. So I am definitely still looking for this every time I go to the store. But I really like this. It just provides kind of an even coverage. I think it is a nice everyday kind of just tinted moisturizer. Again, I'm not someone who has been really into full coverage recently, so this is super nice just for an everyday look. Alright, next we have the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Liquid Makeup. This is Classic Ivory. This is one of the first foundations that I ever started using, and I did end up repurchasing this shade. I think this might be a shade lighter than the one that I had originally started using, but this is really nice, a little bit heavier, a little bit more full coverage, especially compared to the tinted moisturizer. So not really an everyday product for me, but when I am going for a little bit more full coverage, this is one of the ones I will reach for. Just kind of depends on the day, honestly, for this one, but I do really like this. It's not my absolute favorite. I would probably choose the Revlon one over this one, but I do still really like it. Alright, next up we have the Wet n Wild Foundation Stick. So this is in the shade Classic Ivory, and this one is actually a little dark for me. I can really only use this in the summer when I'm a little bit tan. I'm not a huge stick foundation fan. I had bought this because people had been raving about it. This was when Wet n Wild was kind of big, like a few years back. And so I bought this, and really it's not my favorite. I have found ways to use it and make it work, but on the whole, I would rather go for a liquid foundation over stick. Next, we have the L'Oreal Infallible Powder Foundation, which this shade is definitely too light for me. I should have gone at least one up with this one, but this is kind of nice to just throw on for a daily look. I don't really go full coverage. I don't try and build it up at all, but just kind of evening out the skin tone, covering up if I have like some pimples or something, some redness. So this is super nice for that. I do have a pan in this one. You can see pretty big there. My packaging also broke on this one, but this is super nice for every day to just kind of brush over the skin and provide a little bit of coverage. Alright, then the last one I want to talk about is from Maybelline. This is their Matte and Poreless Foundation. This is in the shade 105. What is it? Fair Ivory. This is another more full coverage foundation, so it's not something I'm using a ton, but I do really like this. Again, I would probably reach for this one over Neutrogena, and I would say this one and the Revlon one are pretty even. Just kind of depends on the time of year. I feel like this one's more of a winter shade for me, whereas the Revlon one is a little bit more of a summer shade, so I feel like this one is also a little bit more full coverage, so this is kind of, if I want to do like a full glam makeup, this is probably the one I'm going to reach for. So I do use it. It's just not every day for me, just because I'm not going full coverage every day. Alright, moving on to concealers. I only have two for this category. So the first one here is the NYX Bare With Me Concealer Serum. So this one I actually got in the same kind of sample pack with the primers. I got quite a few NYX products that way. After purchasing a certain amount, they gave like some sample packs. So that is what this one is from. This is a little bit dark for me, so I can really only use it in the summertime. And I I'm not the biggest fan of this. I have found ways to make it work. This is usually one that I use in place of foundation. I don't really like mixing it with my foundation just because I feel like it is a little bit more full coverage, and I just don't really want that much makeup on my face on a daily basis. But this is nice for a little bit more full coverage, but still a little bit on the lighter side, just because it is only a concealer. And then the other one I have is my L'Oreal True Match Concealer. So I really like this stuff. This is probably my third one of these, and I'm already going to need another one. This is almost empty, but I just find this to be a super nice concealer. It's not super full coverage, but it does a good job at kind of evening out the skin tone, covering up a little bit of redness, and just, you know, spot concealing certain places. So I do really like this one. Alright, the last category from my first drawer was setting sprays. So this first one over here is my Rude Cosmetics Shine Control Setting Spray. This is from their Peanuts collab. So I will be honest, I mostly bought this one because it had Woodstock on it and he is my favorite character. But it is a pretty nice setting spray. It does do a fairly good job, I think, of shine control, and it does a nice job of setting my makeup. The one issue I do have with it is the spray itself is very direct. It doesn't just kind of disperse nicely across the face. It's not really a fine mist. It just kind of shoots at your face a little bit more than I would personally like. So that part isn't my favorite, but I do still use it from time to time. Next up we have the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray, and this is the one that I use the most. I think it is super nice, and I feel really good that my makeup's not going to go anywhere when I use this one. So this one I am a huge fan of, and I don't know if I will repurchase this. I got this from my aunt, and I know it is pretty expensive, so I'm not sure that I will end up repurchasing this myself, but I am really hoping I don't run out anytime soon because I do really like this. Alright, next up we have the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Natural Finish Setting Spray. So this is actually one of the first setting sprays that I ever tried, and it was just a really nice drugstore option. This is probably like my third or fourth bottle of this. There isn't too much in here, so it doesn't last super long, but it is a really nice, more affordable option if you are looking for one. I have really enjoyed this. This is a nice size to take with me when I want to travel, so I do really like this one. I don't use it as much now with the All Nighter, but I do still really like that one. Alright, then the last setting spray I have is from Skindinavia. This is their makeup finishing spray. Honestly, I don't think I have ever used this one. I think I might have gotten it from my aunt, but I really don't have much to say about this one just because I'm not entirely sure how it performs, but that is also in my collection and I will have to test it out at some point. Alright, next we have setting powders. So I have 3 in total. So this first one over here is the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder. I have been using this one quite a bit. You can see there is a really good pan in this one. I really like this one. I think it sets down nicely. It doesn't have any weird undertones to it or create any like white cast on my face or anything. So I really do enjoy that one. Next up we have the Maybelline Fit Me powder. This is a loose powder, which is not my favorite just because it is a little bit messier, goes a little bit more all over the place. I'm not someone who likes to bake when I do my makeup, so I don't really have any use for a loose setting powder. I pretty much got this because I knew it was popular. It is still really nice and I do use it. I just prefer a pressed powder. This last one here is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop powder. So I got this one as one of the NYX samples that I got when I did a purchase from them. So this one is pretty nice, but if you pack down too much of it, your skin just kind of ends up looking a little more white, and I don't really love that, but just kind of blending it out and lightly pressing it down, that doesn't happen, so I do still enjoy having that one in my collection, but out of all of these, this one is my favorite. Alright, next up for bronzers, I have two. So this first one was from the Wet n Wild Pac-Man collab, and these are just their little bronzing pellets, which I have been trying to get a little bit more use out of. If I remember to use them, I do it right after foundation but before setting powder, just because they are a little bit more of a cream product, and it does create a nice bronzy look to the skin. I can't really use that too much in the winter, just when I'm a little paler, but it does work really nicely when I am a little more tan. And then this one is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, one of the most popular bronzers out there, I would say. I really enjoy this. Super nice for everyday looks. I use that quite often if I'm doing a full face of makeup, so I really enjoy the Butter Bronzer. Alright, next, I don't have a ton of individual blush, but this is the Wet n Wild and Pac-Man Power Pellets blush. So it's just this really pretty, brighter pink color. So not one I use a ton. I am not really a blush person, so it's something I'm trying to get into a little bit more, but I definitely don't need a bunch of individual blushes. I have some face palettes that have blushes that I reach into, so this one doesn't get a ton of use from me just because it feels like a little bit brighter, bolder of a color, but I do still use it occasionally, and the quality of it is pretty nice, just not really a blush person. Alright, then I have two individual highlighters. So this first one here is the Wet n Wild Precious Petals highlighter. I got this one back when it was super popular. At least I was hearing a lot about it, and this is one of my favorite highlighters, probably still to this day. It is so pretty. It's just a really nice light pink color. It looks really nice on my skin tone, I feel. So I really enjoyed this one. And then this one is the ColourPop Winnie the Pooh in Silly Old Bear. This is one of their Super Shock highlighters, which is not my favorite formula. I like just more of a classic powder formula, but the color is super pretty, and I'm a big Winnie the Pooh fan, so I am still happy that I picked that one up. Alright, next we have some face palettes. So this first one here is the Kylove Color Sheen Airy and Ambient palette. So this is just a little cream highlighter duo. I was actually just recently reaching for this within my Harry Potter project pan, which I talked about a little bit earlier. So I have gotten a little bit of use out of this one recently, but it's just not really a favorite. I'm not really a cream product person, and I just found it a little bit harder to apply. I would rather just stick with a powder product, but the colors of these are super pretty. Next we have the Color Wash palette from Kylove, and this is the darker blush palette. I did not actually purchase either of these, but I purchased a couple palettes from them, eyeshadow palettes, and they threw these in for free, which was super sweet. But quite honestly, I just don't really use this one. These are quite dark colors, and like I said, not a blush person, so I haven't really gone about trying to make these work. I think these might be a nice little lip color if I was to use it that way. I just honestly kind of forget that these are in my collection, but I have them, so I kind of want to make them work, so they are something I just kind of need to remember to reach for a little bit more. Alright, next we have the Wet n Wild and Pac-Man High Score Blush Palette. So this one is super fun. I don't get a ton of use out of this one, but this shade over here is one of my favorite blush shades just because it is lighter. It's pretty subtle, so that makes it easy for me to use on a daily basis. I have reached for this one as more of a bronzer shade. It's a little bit too orangey warm tone, but I have made it work before and just kind of blended it in with the products below, and I have made it work. These other two I don't reach for a ton. I feel like with getting a little bit more into blush, maybe I could reach for those, but I definitely love this palette for this shade up here. Alright, then the last face palette I have is the Rude Cosmetics Peanuts face palette. This is actually the product I was the most excited for with the Rude Cosmetics Peanuts collab. So as you can see, you get a highlighter shade, 2 blushes, and then a bronzer contour shade. So these 3 I get the most use out of for sure. I think this is a really nice color when I'm reaching into this palette to kind of help bronze contour my face. This is a very, very sparkly highlighter, so it's not really an everyday shade for me, but it is really pretty if I want to be a little bit more on the glam side. These 2 blushes are super nice. Again, I reach for the lighter, more subtle one more often, but I have reached for this one as well, and they both perform really nicely, so I was super happy with this little face palette. Alright, next we can move on to some eye products. So first here I have the Ulta Beauty Matte Eye Primer. I use this every single day when I do my makeup, my eyeshadow. I think it just provides a really nice base. I haven't tested out any other eye primers, so I don't really have anything to compare it to, but on the whole I do like that one. And then next to it here I have the NYX Glitter Primer. Not something I use a ton just because typically wetting the brush with the shimmer does enough for me, but if I really want like high impact, high shine for an occasion, this is super nice and it really does the trick of really getting the shimmers to pack down on the lid. Alright, next we have some liners and eye pencils, all from NYX, I'm realizing. But this first one here is the NYX Epic Wear Liner. This is their white one. I don't reach for it a ton. I'm not really a big liquid liner person, but I had gotten these 2 to just kind of test out and see if I liked to use them. But on the whole, if I'm going to do liner, I'm going to just be reaching for a black or darker toned eyeshadow within a palette I'm reaching for. So these 2 don't get a ton of use from me. This is the Vivid Matte liner. This is their black one, so I have a white and a black, which is super nice to have. They just don't get a ton of use from me. Then next to those I have these NYX eye pencils. These are the Ken and Barbie pencils. My friend actually bought these for me, which was super sweet. Again, not really ones that I use a ton. I have used these in my waterline before, which is really nice if it goes with the look, but these are 2 a little bit brighter colors, so don't get a ton of use from me, and typically when I'm doing my eyes, I am just reaching for an eyeshadow palette, but it is nice to have these if I do need them. Alright, next we have eyebrow pencils, which I really love. So this first one here is my NYX Micro Brow Pencil. This one is probably my least favorite out of the ones that I have. The actual tip of it is super nice, super small and precise, but I just don't really like the color of this one. This is the just classic blonde one. The color of it tends to lean really orange, and it just doesn't really look natural on me, but I use this one a lot for my YouTube or Instagram looks because I don't want it to go to waste, and it also is a good option so I don't waste the ones that I use on a daily basis. Alright, the next one I have is the ABH Brow Wiz. This is also in blonde, but this is a much nicer color on me. This is actually my favorite eyebrow pencil that I have. I absolutely love it, but since it is on the more expensive end, I only really reach for this one for special occasions, so I don't get a ton of use out of it on a daily basis, but I love it. Alright, then the last two here are the e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencils. So I have two colors. This one is neutral brown, and then we have their blonde one. I had gotten this one to begin with because I don't think they had a blonde one at the time, so this one is definitely too dark for me. It's another one that I use for YouTube and Instagram just to get use out of that instead of reaching for my everyday pencils. But this one is almost gone now, so I can make it work. It's just a little too dark. But this blonde one is super nice. This is the one I use every single day if I am going out doing my makeup. It is, I think, $3. They might have raised the price again now, but it is still fairly inexpensive. And as far as it goes, it's really nice. It is a little bit thicker of a tip to it, which I do prefer the smaller one that these two have, but it's still super nice and a really inexpensive option. Alright, then my last eye products are mascaras. So I currently have 4 of them. I have definitely tested out more during the time I've been doing my makeup, but these are the 4 I currently have. So up first here is the Wet n Wild Max Volume Plus mascara. This is their waterproof mascara. That one is super nice for everyday looks. I really like it. It just kind of gives a little bit of length, a little bit of darkness to the lashes, and it's not super overwhelming or anything, so I really love that one. That is the one I take with me if I go traveling. It's the one I will just throw on if I'm doing a quick makeup look, so really love that one. Next up we have the Physicians Formula Butter Blowout Mascara. This one is also a really nice everyday one. This one is not waterproof, so it's really easy to remove, and I think this one's super nice. It's a little bit more lengthening than this one is, a little bit darker, so it's just kind of like a step up from this one, but still a really easy to use, nice everyday mascara. Next is the Rude Cosmetics and Peanuts Waterproof Mascara. I just really love the packaging of this one with the Charlie Brown shirt theme to it. I don't use this one a ton. It's probably my least used. It is a little bit bolder, a little bit darker. I feel like it makes my lashes look just a little bit clumpy, which isn't my favorite look, but it definitely adds some nice volume and depth to them. So if I am going for a little bit more dramatic look, this is the one I will reach for. And then the Rimmel Scandaleyes Mascara. This is also the waterproof version. Kind of similar things to say about this one to the Rude Cosmetics one. It is a little bit more if I am going for a more dramatic look. It doesn't make my lashes as clumpy as this one, but it definitely still kind of has that similar look to it. So these are definitely more my special occasion, more dramatic looks, and these are my everyday ones. Alright, moving on, I have some various lip products. I am not someone who does lips frequently, but I have been trying to get a little bit more into it recently, especially with lip glosses. So there's just a big combination of products in this little container that I like to display my lip products in. So I'll start with the lip liner. This is my NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner. Again, this one came with the kind of samples, so I didn't actually purchase this one, but it's just a really nice dark color. I have used it a couple times just kind of to test it out, but this is definitely for special occasions. And then to go with that, we have the matte lip cream from NYX. This is their Smooth Whip. This is the shade, I don't know what shade this is. Velvet Robe is the shade of this one. Again, just a lot darker, and I'm not super into matte lips anymore. I was when I first started getting into makeup, but it's not really my thing anymore, so this is definitely more of a special occasion lip as well. Alright, next we have these 3 plumping glosses from the Rude Cosmetics Peanuts collab. I have tested out each of these, and they are really nice plumping glosses, but that's just not really something I'm reaching for a ton, so I have used them. They do have a time and a place, but they're not everyday products for me. Alright, next from NYX we have the This Is Juice Gloss. I have used this one a couple times as well. Like I said, I've been getting more into lip gloss, so this is a super fun one to have, and it just creates a subtle color to the lips and a subtle gloss to the lips as well. Alright, moving right along in here, we'll talk about these two little guys. So these are from the Wet n Wild Pac-Man collab as well. So this first one is just the Cherry Lip Balm. I have actually been using this one quite a bit. It is really nice, just has a little bit of a red tint to it as well, so it's not just like a clear lip balm, which is kind of fun. And then this one over here is their lip scrub. This is one that I don't really use as often just because I am not entirely sure how it works. I know how a lip scrub works, but I just don't think it works that well, but I have still used it a few times. Next we have the Rude Cosmetics Tinted Glow Lip Balm. This is the Sally shade. So here is what this one looks like. This is really smooth and moisturizing, and then it just has a little bit of a pink tint to it, which is super fun if I still want that moisture of a lip balm, but it has just a fun little color to it as well. And then I have this NYX Velvet Matte Lipstick. I don't even know. This is so old. But I absolutely loved this color for so long. I really don't use this one anymore, but I just haven't really gotten rid of it. But I really loved this color. It's a little bit bolder, but super pretty. Alright, then I have these two from the Ulta and Harry Potter collab that they had done. These are not available anymore, but they're super pretty lip glosses. So this first one is just kind of a peachy lip gloss with some gold sparkle. This is the Platform 9 3/4. And then the Howler one is a super pretty kind of darker mauvey pink lip gloss. I have used both of those a little bit compared to other lip products, more than those, so I do really enjoy both of those. This is the Ariel lipstick from ColourPop from their Disney Designer Collection. It's just a really beautiful everyday lip shade. Again, not one I use a ton just because I'm not really using lipsticks on a daily basis, but that one is super pretty. Next we have this little guy. I don't even really know what this one is from. It says Color the World on it, and it is the shade Huntress. So kind of a similar color actually. I really like a nice nude lipstick, a little bit of a pinky undertone, so that one is super pretty as well. This one is just the Gryffindor lip balm from ColourPop, I believe. So this one is really just nice and moisturizing. It doesn't have too much of a tint to it, even though it is red, but I do use that one if I just need a nice moisturizing lip balm. Next we have the Almay Lip Vibes. This is the shade Go Wild. So this one's a little bit on the light side when I put it on, so it's not an absolute favorite. I do like to do more of like an ombre lip with this one, with a darker shade around the outside and then this more in the center. So that is more how I use this one, but again, I'm not using lipstick a ton. Then we have this little Sigma sample that I got when I got some palettes from them. This is just a really nice red color. It is very bold, so not one I'm reaching for a ton, but it is super pretty. Then these last two are from Wet n Wild. This is Think Pink, so just a really pretty kind of babyish pink shade. It looks a little more neutral right here, but that does show up pretty pink on the lips. And then this one is my favorite color from Wet n Wild. This is Bare It All. So again, another brown nudish color, but I think it's super, super pretty. Alright, then I have just a couple collections left. So this first one is the Wet n Wild Pac-Man collection. So we have the Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde lip glosses. Clyde is definitely my favorite. It's kind of a subtle peachy color. This one would be next, Blinky. It's just a nice red. It's a little bit more on the sheer side compared to a like lipstick red, but it's still super nice. It adds just a nice red tint to the lips. These two I don't use as much. Definitely this one. It is like just blue, but it's kind of a sheer blue also, so that one isn't my favorite, but it's still fun to have the whole collection. And then this one, the pinky one, is not my absolute favorite pink. I feel like it's a little cool toned, so it doesn't really look the best on me, but I definitely haven't reached for that one in a while, so it is one I would like to kind of retest out and see how I like it now. Alright, then the last products I want to talk about are the Harry Potter and She Glam lip glosses. This is the only thing I purchased from that collection, but I just thought this was so cool. So it looks like a little book, and then you open it up, you have like some information about the potions, and then you have the 4 lip glosses. So these are each inspired by a different potion from Harry Potter. So we have Felix Felicis, Polyjuice Potion, Amortentia, and Draft of Living Death. So this first one here is just a beautiful gold one. That one I don't use a ton. Same with the Polyjuice Potion one. This is more green. It doesn't show up too green on the lips, but there is definitely some green sparkle to it, so I really only reach for that on special occasions. But these other two I really do enjoy. So this one is just a kind of pinky toned lip gloss. None of them are super pigmented, which is nice. It just kind of adds a very subtle color. And this last one is purple. I actually just wore that today, and I really, really enjoy these. So that will conclude today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you thought. What is your favorite part of your makeup collection? You guys know that eyeshadow is mine, but I definitely love all of the other products I have as well, even if I don't talk about them as much. Give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy, subscribe so you don't miss out on any future uploads, and with all of that said, I will see you in my next video. Bye!